So I'm going to talk about relationships, the key to all relationships. There's one basic key to all of your relationship issues. And if you can get that key, then everything falls into place. Exactly a secret. It's being talked about a lot, but it's kind of a little bit difficult to learn because it's not a logical thing, it's a feeling. And of course I'm trying to give you that feeling a little bit in the music. Waltz is one of the ways that we get that feeling. The waltz is the classic romantic dance because it is an expression of the correct energy for a healthy relationship. So if you can get that energy, that feeling, then everything kind of falls into place. So theoretically what it is, it's about holding your connection in three different directions at the same time. So you have to stay true to yourself, and you have to stay true to the other person. You have to accept the other person as they are, support them to be themselves. And you also need to connect to something higher, something greater, something more positive and universal. So there's a inner connection and in front of you connection, and there's an out there connection. And if you have like one or two of them and not all of them, then there is a problem. Then things won't flow very well, won't flow very easily. So for example, if you're very connected to yourself but not connected to the other person, that's what people call narcissistic. If you're very connected to the other person and not to yourself, that's like a walkover. That's like somebody who is self-sacrificing, and really they're no fun because they're not able to enjoy for themselves. And even if you have both, even if you have connected to myself and the other person, that can still be kind of depressing. I care about you, I'm strong in myself, but I can't really find the positivity and the connection to the outside world. Or it can be kind of isolating that couple away from the rest of the world, which is also a problem. So the thing is that it's kind of difficult at first to put all of these three things together. You kind of like can put one of them in or two of them in, and you feel like they're pulling against each other. So in order to look after the other person, I have to sacrifice myself. In order to look after myself, I have to not do so much for the other person, etc. Yeah. So that feeling of how is it that you put them all together, that's really, really important. So there's a couple of exercises that can be done to give that feeling. One of the things that happens when you're actually trying to express that feeling is the difference between the masculine energy and the feminine energy becomes really, really clear and really strong. So the exercises are sometimes different for men and for women. The classic exercise for men, you put your hands up like this. It's like holding strong, but not towards somebody. We're not putting our aggression into someone. I'm holding my power, but remaining open and vulnerable. And the equivalent for women is you put hands in a heart shape, like that, and put it on your belly. I'll put some links to actual images down below, or I might actually, if I get time, manage to edit them into the video itself of what it looks like. So there's a very basic exercise that you can do. You can hold that position and breathe, breathe 8 times or something to get a good time that you've spent there and feeling that energy, that strength. It feels a lot like strength for men, and it feels more like relaxation for women. So then another technique that you could use is the meditation on the Kabbalistic letters. So there's a particular, the Kabbalah has a series of exercises, meditations that are based on visualizing certain letter combinations. Now there's all kinds of complicated meditations that have been built around that, but really essentially it's just you find that particular combination of Hebrew letters and you look at them and you imagine them. Sorry for the bump microphone. Hope that didn't affect your sound quality too much. So you basically focus on those letters. So again, I'll put an image, and I can use that image to focus on. Now it's also possible to energize these images with the feeling and do some pretty funky, cool technological magic these days, which if anyone is interested, I can send you more information about that. And I'll talk about that more at the end. But basically we can use those images of the letters and actually put added energy into them and make them even stronger. But for now, let's look at what you can do for yourself. So there's those ones. Another exercise that is really good is Kaoshikii and Tandava, which is dances that come out of the yoga tradition. So Tandava, I have my, hello, I have my kofiko here to demonstrate the dances. Tandava is a dance for men. You put your hands out, hold your fists, and then you jump, whoa, jump, and try and hit your knees all the way to your chest, jump. And then you're trying to jump up again and hit your feet to your bum. And then you do kind of like a can-can, arm stand, stay out, and you go hop, kick, hop, kick, hop, kick, hop, kick. And at the end, when you've completely exhausted and had enough, it's really hard work, but it's really good for directing that positive masculine energy. And then you do one last jump. Afterwards, you're going to have to kind of keep moving, walking around a little bit, because it's really hard on the legs, and you'll end up kind of having some cramps if you don't. So we can also link you to some actual videos about how to do this. The women's version, the Kaoshikii, you put your hands up above your head like this, prayer hands, and with your feet you tap behind, in front, well behind the other foot and then to the side, behind the other foot and then to the side. And while you're doing that, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then the final step is tap, stamp with each foot. So it's probably not quite enough for you to understand exactly how it's done without looking at some other videos about it. But you get a basic idea. So I'll link you to some of those videos and in the text below, so that if you're interested to try out those exercises, they'll really help. So they're basically an extension of the same thing. They're a physical exercise that brings out the energy of masculinity and the energy of femininity. When we talk femininity, there's some fears sometimes that this means weakness. And that's not really accurate. The feminine is different from the masculine, and maybe it's not directed so straightforward, its energy, not so aggressive in a straight line, but it still has power. And that exercise, the men's exercise, Tandava, is very, very direct and aggressive and powerful. The women's exercise seems a little bit softer, but actually if you are feeling aggressive, you can do it in a very aggressive way. And that is also very effective, but it's a kind of feminine style of aggression. So what we're looking at here is, instead of trying to make men and women the same, what we're trying to do is be the highest possible version of what you are and find your strength in what you are. So if you're a woman, then you want to be a really strong, powerful, effective woman, not try to be powerful like a man. And the same with men. If you're a man, you want to be strong and compassionate and gentle as a gentleman, not try to copy women's version of compassion. So potentially in other elements of society it could work to kind of men to copy a little bit women's style and women to copy a little bit men's style. Maybe. But in relationships it definitely doesn't. In relationships it's really important to be authentic, to be what you are. And so this is really important. Another exercise that you can do is that you can ask yourself this quite difficult question. If the other person never changes, what would I do? If they never change, what would I do? It's quite an annoying question, but it's something that really works. If you can really find an answer to that, an answer that is truly true to yourself. It's like, if that person is never going to change, would I stay anyway and put up with them? Or would I find a way to enjoy myself more? Or would I run away? And if you can act as though you're not expecting that person to ever change and they're just going to be themselves and you're going to accept them as they're themselves and you're going to find a way to deal with it, then often change actually happens, because the kind of pressure on someone to change makes them resist and not want to change and stay where they are. When you kind of allow them their space, suddenly they kind of go, well, what would I actually like to be? And as you find yourself, they are kind of pulled into your energy of truer, more authentic self. Incidentally, this kind of quality that we're talking about, this key to relationships, it's called differentiation. And you can look up lots of information about that in books on the internet. There's a great book called Passionate Marriage, which is really focused on exactly this concept. Other things that you can look at in relationships that can be helpful, that is not precisely this, but is really useful information. There's a really good website called Marriage Builders. Marriage Builders has a lot of information about how to understand what your needs are in the relationship and what the other person's needs are, and how to make sure that all of the needs are being met. So it's like the inner spirit needs to be this differentiation, this authenticity. But once you have that authenticity, you still need to kind of negotiate. What is it that's needed in this relationship and how do we fix it? And so understanding a little bit more about yourself and understanding a little bit more about the other person's needs really help. Well, that was an interesting sound. I think the dog has got behind some kind of heater or something. So if you're looking for a relationship, if you're not in a relationship at the moment, and you're trying to manifest a relationship, you're trying to look for the right partner, of course, these techniques are also still very important, because what happens is that you attract to yourself somebody who is a good match for the energy that you're putting out. And if you're putting out an energy that is inauthentic, then the person that is attracted to you is going to be someone who fits with that inauthenticity. And then when you get in the relationship and you start to try and actually be yourself, you find that the relationship won't work. So to attract someone that really fits, it's actually the same exercise that's needed. There may be more exercises that you could also do that would help with bringing the little miracles into play that will bring somebody into your life quickly. But generally, as long as you do this and you really find what is the authentic space for you, the kind of real you, really in connection with the rest of the world, with the other and the universe, then you will attract whatever it is that you're looking for. For myself, I went through a lot of relationships that are kind of not that good. Okay, I learned something from them. Every time I kind of learned, no, that's not what I'm looking for. I learned something more. I didn't repeat patterns. I didn't go back to the same relationship issues that I had before. I went to new relationship issues. Eventually I figured out what I was looking for in a relationship, but by then I was kind of stuck in a relationship and I couldn't find my way out. And I was quite committed to that relationship. I had children, etc. So I used these techniques to strengthen my differentiation. Once I figured out what this energy of differentiation was, of course it took me some time. The first thing that I found was I heard about it and I understood the theory and it really made sense, but I didn't actually know how to do it, how to find that differentiation. And once I did know how to do it, then it was just a matter of practice. And then since then, gradually things kind of sorted out, resolved issues with that relationship, ended up being able to have a new relationship, eventually attracting someone that really fitted me. Over years, it took a long time for me to kind of sort this out, but once I put that into practice, then I was kind of constantly taking little steps forward and things were getting better rather than sticking around and repeating themselves as they were. And now, I still find that relationship issues come up, but if I go back to these practices, make sure that I get that feeling of authenticity and differentiation, then things work out. I'm able to resolve them. So I hope these are useful techniques for you. If you want more support with this, there's the potential that I'm working on developing an online course about this, which will basically take you through the same exercises but in a structured way to keep you encouraged in making sure that you practice. If anyone's interested in that, let me know, and I will continue to develop that. Another possibility is I talked about the techno-magic, the development of basically energizing images with the spirit of this differentiation. We can also energize them with other things, but in this case we're talking about that spirit of differentiation. And you can actually download them onto your phone or onto a USB key and carry it on you. And the energy is transferred into us through these technological gadgets. Why this works, I have no idea. I know that you can do this with water and you can create homeopathic medicines. And there's some logic about how that works. The people have been exploring the idea that there's some kind of shift in the shape of the molecule of the water. But when we're carrying energies in something that is not even physical at all, that's even more confusing. but I assure you it does work. If that's too weird for you, yes, we can create little bottles of water with this kind of energy in, that you can take some drops, and that can really get you to feel that energy. And another thing that I'm considering developing is some music. So I'll make some songs, make an album that will be an expression of this same feeling. Of course, we'll have to use the waltzes, the waltz music, and we'll develop something that's as beautiful as we can make it. And then you listen to the album in order to get that feeling. So if you're interested in any of those that support, of course we can also develop coaching group sessions where we talk and learn from each other, or individual coaching or whatever. So if you're interested in any of these things that might support you, then let me know and I'll continue to develop them. At the moment, I'm hoping that this video gives you enough to be able to go away with and to sort out your own relationship issues. If we managed to sort out our relationship issues like this, if we each individually were able to come to this place of differentiation, I believe that it would have a lot more influence than simply romantic relationships. Obviously, it's going to help us with our parents, but I think it's probably going to help us with building communities and societies and kind of the whole basic structure of the way humans work. When we are able to do this, we work together well. And so, although it's basically focused on relationship issues, it actually has a lot of transference into a whole lot of other areas of life. It's going to make it a lot easier to find yourself in your work, in your business. It's going to make it a lot easier to build community around you, like I said. Deal with your parents. And even political issues like what do we do about COVID and what do we do about the environment and stuff like this. If we're really connected and we're able to keep our authenticity, it enables us to have a depth of conversation and to kind of get past a lot of the conflict into creative resolution. So this could be quite radical if we took it deep enough. So I hope that's helpful. Let me know